What's up, YouTube? So before we get started with this video on First Take, they're going to be talking about O'Dell Beckham Jr. and his issues at LSU between giving money to the players and smacking the security guard in his backside. So let's see what they have to say.
Stephen A., what does this say about O'Dell?
That he's an idiot. That's what it says. And I'm going to say that because I usually come to his defense, and he is not a criminal. He should not be treated as such. He is not a bad person. He should not be treated as such. He is not the kind of person that they have stigmatized him as being for the most part. I think a lot of things involving O'Dell Beckham Jr. has been over-exaggerated, and far more often than not, he's been victimized by the headline.
Yeah, but he puts himself in positions to have people or the media jackals really scrutinize him. So he knows what's going on and that he's going to get attention.
Villainized rather by the headlines. And I think he's been a victim more than he's been a villain. But in this particular instance, I'm completely annoyed with him. It was LSU's moment. It's not his. You're in that locker room. Of course, it's harmless. To law enforcement officials out there, our system, we got to really think about stuff, because I'm going to say this. As a black man, I don't appreciate the fact that there are headlines that read, "There's a warrant out for his arrest, O'Dell Beckham Jr.'s arrest." Because if you're not following it, you're going like this. Whoa, what the hell did he do? What the hell did he do? Oh, he slapped a security person on the backside while celebrating in the locker room. You see those headlines? It just doesn't mesh.
It doesn't. It looks bad, but at the same time, you're O'Dell Beckham Jr. Don't put yourself in the type of situation to have the media jackals start dumping on you. You know everybody's watching you, so you have to be careful.
Hate when they do stuff like that. So that's over-exaggerating. But nevertheless, you're O'Dell Beckham Jr. You should know better. Don't put your hands on somebody else. Don't be touching somebody else. Don't slap security officers in there working after the game. He's doing his job, and you're going to slap him in the backside like that. It's very disrespectful. It's not respectful of the position that he's in and the job that he has to do. And I just think that O'Dell Beckham Jr. should know better than that. So to find yourself in the situation right now where you're making headlines, of course it's innocuous. Of course it might amount to just a little fine or whatever the case may be. But what the hell are you thinking?
I don't see it that way at all.
So I think the situation with the security guard is kind of blown out of proportion. So you have to be careful about slapping people on the backside like that, because he's not one of the players. And everybody in the locker room, for the most part, the players, they know what's going on, what can happen in that type of environment. That security guard is not necessarily part of the environment. So you have to be careful with him, because he may not play like that. You hit him on his backside, he may not like it. He may not understand the culture of how things work with teams and all that. And he might not play like that. And another thing, I think that security guard should have addressed it at that point even more sternly, because I think what happened was he probably went home and watched TV, and his family members and his friends saw what happened, and they're just completely hyped. They pumped him up like, "Oh, O'Dell Beckham Jr. hit you on your backside, yada, yada. You didn't even do anything about it. Yeah, that's assault." And I bet you his family and his friends probably pumped him up, called them, started clowning him, talking about it. Like, "Oh, did you like getting hit from, O'Dell Beckham Jr.?" They just pumped him up, and then he called the cops and wanted to press charges and all that. I just recently heard that he's not going to press charges, but I bet you what happened was his family and friends pumped him up, hyped up the situation, and now he's kind of mad or, is not happy with the situation that he should have thoroughly addressed at that point. But I don't know. Let's continue.
I don't see it that way at all. I got to tell you, I came down on O'Dell when he's handing out the cash. Not at first. I thought he's geeked up. They're letting the LSU alumni letting you come here. We're going to, hit you off. Big stars in the NFL care. We're going to hit you off. But then Jalen Rose, I watched him on Get Up, and he convinced me. He's like, you're taking the shine away from the kids who just won, and now you're kind of creating a controversy. Don't make it about you. Okay. And I got on O'Dell behind that yesterday. This is in the locker room. You know what happens when you enter the locker room of the national championship team? Maybe the greatest season ever, right, in college football history, and they...
Well, I don't know about that, because in 1995, Nebraska Cornhuskers was some beasts with Tommy Frazier, Grant Wisdom, Lawrence Phillips. I mean, they had a squad. Also, I think, what was it, 03, 02, '04 USC Trojans with Reggie Bush and all those boys. But I'm getting off track. But as far as the handing out money thing, O'Dell Beckham, that was a complete bonehead move. Like, the last thing you want is to have the NCAA sniffing around your campus and your program because O'Dell Beckham Jr. was giving out cash to players on film. Why would you even remotely attract that type of attention from the NCAA? Because you don't really know what's going on behind closed doors. There might be somebody that might be ineligible. There might be somebody that took accidentally money from another situation, and that opens up the floor doors for the NCAA to come in and investigate anything and everything. So I don't know why he would do that to his team, to his players. And I mean, it's just a bad situation to be doing that type of stuff. The last thing you want is to have the NCAA come sniffing around your program after you just won a national championship, because everything might not be clean. Everything might not be clean.
Just won the chip. You know what happens? Everyone's getting smacked on the backside. Like, that's just... Now, did O'Dell use that as cover to take out a little aggression on a dude who he felt maybe was doing his job a little overzealously? That's what it looked like to me. But I actually think that gives him some cover here, to tell you the truth. Security guard seemed to me, it's not a cop, by the way, he's a security guard, seemed to me to be harassing like a player who's like, no, I'm drinking Gatorade. I don't know what was going on there, but it looked to me like maybe a guy, yeah, I understand he's doing his job, but O'Dell's like, come on, dude, and gives him a smack on the backside because he has, in a locker room under those circumstances, stuff like that's going on. Everyone's happy, geeked up, and celebrating. And so I actually do think it gives him plausible deniability, whatever his intentions were. In this case, I'm not going to... If you're in the locker room of the championship team and you get smacked on the butt, whether you're a security guard or if it's me or you, Stephen A., in the locker room, and that... I don't think you can complain about that one, to tell you the truth. During his time in Cleveland...
So something like that, again, with the whole smacking of the backside, you have to know the culture of what's going on in that locker room. They just won. You know, I know you have to be, like I said, you have to be careful with that security guard and people that aren't a part of that culture or aren't a part of that team, because they might not understand. And plus, that security guard is doing his job. He was acting authoritative to the players because they were smoking cigars, and there's no smoked cigars apparently in that locker room or building or whatever. And then O'Dell Beckham Jr. comes up and smacks him right when he's telling people what to do. That kind of undermines him. And plus, like I said, that security, he may not play like that. He may not play. You may not want to be touched. So O'Dell Beckham Jr. has to know, look, you are a multi-millionaire. If you do, don't put your hands on anybody, because that's the best way to get sued. Even if you just put your pinky on somebody, that's still battery. You still touched them. And you can get sued for that. At the most basic level of the law, that's still battery. So why put yourself in that type of position? Again, that security guard's crying, over spilled milk. He shouldn't be crying over it. But again, like I said, that's the culture of what's going on there. But you don't know everybody. Everybody may not play like that. And that security guard obviously probably got pumped up, and now there's a situation. So I don't know. Let's continue.
This year, we didn't hear anything really from him. He was a guy who, under some very trying circumstances, pretty much conducted himself exactly the way you would want him to if you were a head coach or general manager during his time with Cleveland. Well, it's just a shame that at this time, at this moment, he all of a sudden now has come back to the forefront, and now he's back in the limelight, and he makes a decision, again, that is harmless and benign, but nevertheless is negative, and now is going to drive a lot of agendas. Right now, like we're having this conversation.
Yeah.
It's driving an agenda right now. And then it's going to drive a lot of stereotypical agendas. And that's the kind of thing he doesn't need.
Odell is an emotional dude who wears his heart on his sleeve,
that's not
and
an
it
excuse.
consistently gets him in trouble.
Yeah, that's not an excuse. And like I said, with the whole thing with the money, why would you even remotely open doors for the NCAA to come have investigations on that program by giving players money out, cash, on camera? I mean, that's just the stupidest thing you can do. The stupidest thing. And like I said, that program might have things going on behind closed doors that people don't know about. Ineligible players, homework, not going to class. If the NCAA finds anything, they could vacate that win. I mean, there's just a lot of things going on that was a bonehead play by O'Dell Beckham Jr. by giving out cash like that. Let's continue.
Right.
Okay,
It does get
that's
him in
fine.
trouble.
But ultimately, Max, you're going to speak about what's getting him in trouble. Even though you can attribute it to emotion and being benign and relatively harmless, and certainly his intent, you may say he didn't mean any harm, which obviously is, in all likelihood, is true. It doesn't take away from the idiocy of it, particularly in that moment. And I can personalize this, Max. You'll relate to the story, Lewis. I'll tip you off to this. I was involved in a similar incident, Max.
I remember.
You remember that years ago? Toronto in a particular game was giving it to Markieff Morris when he was on the Washington Wizards. I sat up there like, yo, man, they're giving it to you. You got to go handle your business. To his credit, because he and his brothers are good people. They don't like me that much, but that's all right. I got love for them. But here's the deal.
Don't take it personal.
I'm taking it personal. Don't like me. What I tell you, I don't have to talk to you to talk about you. This is my show. So this is the way it's going to be. But here's the deal. And what I'm saying to you, Max, is this. So I say give it to him, right? He goes out there, he balls. He comes by Riddick and slaps me in my backside. I laughed it off because I thought he was playing around, and I did call him out the game before to show up and handle his business. So I'm like, it's no big deal. No big deal. No harm, no foul. Then this dude goes in the paper and tells somebody, well, that was the only thing that I could get away with because, I'm paraphrasing here, I had a more malice intent. I didn't know that because I promise you, if I had known that, there would have been an entirely different reaction. Okay?
Right.
So I'm just saying, you don't
So
know.
in other words,
what O'Dell Beckham Jr. is thinking in that moment in time.
Yeah, but it's more about what that security guard was thinking in that moment of time, because you can tell the feeling of what's going on at that moment. O'Dell Beckham Jr. was playing around. He may have tried to undermine the security guard because he's telling people what to do, and he's kind of having a fun time. But that security guard was in the middle of doing his job, and to do that, he probably felt undermined, and he may not play like that. He just straight up may not play like that. Don't you touch me. And again, he probably went home, or his family, his friends probably pumped him up. They were calling him and saying, oh, O'Dell Beckham Jr. hit you on your butt, and you didn't do anything about it, and yada, yada, yada. What'd you like? And then it pumped him up, and all of a sudden, now this charge is going. So, I don't know. Let's continue.
But Stephen A. takes
You don't put your hands on somebody else.
In other words, in an atmosphere like on a sideline of a game or in a locker room when people are celebrating, smacking someone on the backside, there's plausible deniability. Yeah. In other words, before you could divine his intentions, because he didn't reveal them, you assumed it was in the context of a sporting event.
So you see right there, you can tell the context. He was kind of just having fun. It is kind of weird how he was looking at his target for so long. But again, you can understand the aura of what's going on. He was probably playing, and the security guard should have addressed it even more there if he had a real problem with it. But like I said, I bet you he went home and they saw this video, his friends and family, and they pumped him up and they were just, killing him with it. So let's continue.
That's the kind of thing that happens, and you were good. It wasn't until he revealed his intentions that you had a problem.
Right.
O'Dell didn't come out in the paper and said, I'm trying to hit this guy.
But wait a minute.
So the plausible deniability remains.
But let me ask you this question. What I'm saying, I'm getting to a bigger point. And the bigger point is, Max, because I don't know your intent, all I got to go on is that you put your hands on me. So what if that security officer had turned around, and punched him right in his face? What were we going to say to the police officer?